chambers, you relax and allow the moisturizing masks to work their magic. Finally, you rinse off in a rainforest shower and finish with a pH balancing mist. Treat yourself to this hydrating and refreshing experience at the Ivy Day Spa. Call to reserve your VIP grotto experience at 260-1244.
At City of Hope, we don't believe the future can wait for the future. For over a century, we've been advancing science that saves lives. From 4 of the world's top cancer-fighting drugs to the development of synthetic human insulin, we are maximizing the potential of immunotherapy and making precision medicine a reality. It's not enough to promise future cures for cancer. We must find them sooner. We are the miracle of science with soul. Find out more at cityofhope.org.
One more day, one more time.
Diamond Rio brings their musical magic to the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center on Saturday, June 30th.
What a beautiful mess.
KHTS is proud to present Diamond Rio, 6-time Country Vocal Group of the Year, 23 top 10 hits. Experience Grammy Award winners Diamond Rio like you've never seen them before, right here in our hometown at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center. Country legends Diamond Rio, and featuring our one and only local singing sensation, Savannah Burrows.
Maybe with someone else, I'll spend my time.
Savannah Burrows and Diamond Rio, together at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center, Saturday, June 30th.
One more day.
Tickets are going fast. Visit canyonspac.com to purchase yours. canyonspac.com for Diamond Rio.
Hey there, I'm Tori with your hometown station weather. Partly cloudy today, a high of 89. Clear overnight with a low of 63. More sun tomorrow with a high of 91. Don't miss out. Get your tickets to Diamond Rio at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center, College of the Canyons, Saturday, June 30th at 7 p.m. with special guest Savannah Burrows. Tickets are on sale now. Visit canyonspac.com. That's canyonspac.com.
Ask Brien Show. I'm your host today, Patti Handy. My co-host Peter is out in court. He's not the one in trouble. He's the one as an attorney, so that's a good thing. We are AskBrien.com. It is a wonderful resource for business owners. Ask Brien is Brien. Is a website designed for business owners by business owners where they bring on experts. And if you are a business owner and you have questions that you want to talk to a CPA, an attorney, run some ideas by different people, you have a resource with the Ask Brien website. There's various speakers there. I would definitely encourage you to jump over to that website, take a look at it. Again, it's a free resource, which is great, and it's especially designed for business owners, and it's by business owners. And I'm actually an expert in there as well as a mortgage advisor, so that's kind of exciting. So today I have a friend of mine, longtime friend, Charles Lee. He's been on the show before. The cool thing about Charles is he's got several hats that he wears. If you missed the other show, we were on probably, 3-4 months ago maybe?
Yes.
Go back to the KHTS or go to hometownstation.com and go to the show probably 3-4 months ago on the Ask Brien. Look for Charles Lee. He did an entire show on tax credits, which is really important for business owners. So make sure you listen to that show. Let me introduce Charles properly here. Charles is a CPA and CEO, tax director, and owner of Reliant Tax Consulting, which specializes in certain federal and California tax incentives and solutions, such as the Federal Hiring Tax Credit, Work Opportunity Tax Credit. That's a mouthful. I got to slow that roll a little bit.
We call it the WOTC, W-O-T-C.
That's a lot easier to say than that long thing you just said. Prior to Reliant, Charles started his career with the Big Four international accounting firms, Ernst & Young, KPMG, Deloitte & Touche, and after 10 years with the big firms, Charles established his own tax consulting firm in 2002. In 1992, Charles graduated from the University of California at Los Angeles.
Go Bruins.
Go UCLA! My dad used to teach there as well. He's a licensed certified public accountant in California and a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the California Society of Certified Public Accountants. So thank you and welcome. I'm really happy to have you here. If you are a business owner, you'll want to listen to this show really closely, because with the right information from your CPA, you can save thousands, right? You take advantage of certain opportunities that many different tax preparers don't know about.
Absolutely.
And it's important to have the information and make sure that you do your due diligence.
Yes.
So let's start with some of the basics, and then we'll get into some more meat and potatoes later. People see the letter CPA and they think that all CPAs are built the same way and basically file taxes. Not always the case. So what does your firm specialize in?
Well, Reliant Tax Consulting Inc. is not a CPA firm. We're not a public accountancy firm, although I am a CPA. But it's a boutique consulting firm where we provide tax credits, tax incentive solutions, tax planning that many of the smaller local CPAs would not normally provide. And so most of the clients at Reliant have their own CPAs. And what we do is we work with the business owners as well as the CPAs to provide credits, provide tax deferral strategies to defer capital gains tax, a lot of the things that CPAs normally would not provide.
So the tax planning piece is so important because, much like a financial planner, you're planning various courses that you're going to take as a company, and as a traditional CPA, that may or may not be part of the menu of services. Is that fair to say?
Correct, because CPAs are kind of like doctors. So they're like the family physician. And if you have a specialist you need, like a heart surgeon or heart specialist, then you go to a cardiologist. So what I do is I work with the CPAs who will provide the basic tax returns, basic bookkeeping, maybe even some basic payroll services. But then when the CPA is either too busy or just it's not part of his business forte to provide proactive tax planning, that's when I get involved, where I work with the CPAs and the business owners to do a variety of tax planning.
Yeah, with the business, there are so many nuances that are so important to make sure you understand. So before we get into more details, let's start with some more of the basics. What's the difference between a tax deduction, a tax credit, and a tax deferral?
Great question. So let's look at typically how individuals would calculate their taxes. You look at the income that comes in, you look at your expenses. One of your expenses would be the standard deduction or the itemized deduction. Then you apply your tax rates to get to your tax. Then you take some credits, be it child tax credits, other personal credits, or business tax credits. And then you apply your withholding tax and other tax payments, and then you will either get a refund or you will get tax due. So credits act like a dollar for dollar reduction of your tax, whereas expenses will reduce your income, and then after you apply your tax rate to get to your tax, then you apply your credits as if they're used as cash.
Okay, and deferral?
Deferral simply means that you're going to pay the tax that you normally would pay today into a future year. So one of the most common deferrals is putting money into a investment or pension account. So, for example, if you put some money in a traditional IRA, then you'll get a tax deduction. And because you get the tax deduction, you do not pay tax to the extent of that deduction. And then later on, when you retire and you pull the money out, then you pay the tax then. So that's what we call a deferral strategy, where you're deferring the tax this year into a future year.
So do you work in that capacity? Do you work with the business owner's financial planner to determine what's the best way to set up that deferral? Is that ever something that you
Yes. In the income tax realm, the game of income taxation, if you want to call it, there's two main games that you're really playing. You're trying to get either exempt income or get tax credits, which are what we call permanent differences in taxation, versus the timing differences or deferring the tax into the future. So tax credits act as a permanent reduction of your tax, whereas a deferral is simply going to reduce your tax today, but you're going to pay that tax at another time into the future.
Okay, and hoping that the strategy there, I'm assuming, is that you're at a lower tax bracket later? Is
Correct.
that sort of the
It
thought
could be
process?
that the tax laws will change, and you can be in a lower tax bracket, or it could also be that that type of income is just not taxable into the future. And also, when people retire, depending on what they did in their active years, they could be making less money and in a lower tax bracket, and therefore, by paying the tax at a lower tax rate into the future, you're actually saving taxes.
Okay. So what is the typical candidate for this type of tax credit and client that you work with, or the advantages of the perfect client, I guess I'm trying to get to?
Well, that's a
that
very
you
good question.
typically work with.
If you look at just the federal business tax credits, there's probably over $30 billion of these tax credits that are claimed every year. And there's at least 40 business income tax credits. This is just on the income tax credits. We're not talking about deferral strategies. So most businesses have these tax credits that they qualify for. Now the question is, how much are they, and is it worth pursuing? And so to answer your question, manufacturers, wholesalers, retailers, any business that is hiring 10 or more employees per year, any business that is producing some kind of product, inventory items that they sell where maybe they need to do some research to make their product better or come up with new products. Those are a couple of the instances where these various tax credits can assist the business owner to save money.
Do you normally find that when you sit down with some of these companies, they're in shock that they didn't realize that these tax credits were available to them?
Many times, yes. And again, you really cannot fault the CPA. You hired a CPA to do your basic tax returns, to provide basic accounting services, and they're very good at it, and that's why you hired them. But you did not hire them necessarily to look for tax credits or tax structures where you can minimize or defer taxes into the future.
Okay. I want to get a little bit deeper into the tax credit piece of it in a minute, but I wanted to find out a couple questions first. What are the most common missed opportunities that you see with these clients?
Well, it depends on the business and industry, but with businesses that hire a lot of people, so we're talking about franchise restaurants, larger locally owned restaurants, security firms, senior care companies, manufacturers, wholesalers, even retailers. Any business that's hiring 10 or more employees per year can qualify for what's called the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. It's a federal income tax credit program where the employer is rewarded in the form of an income tax credit that reduces the employer's income taxes dollar for dollar. Typically, the average credit for a qualified employee would be approximately $2,400, and it's a one-time credit. So I'll give you an example. A franchise restaurant, perhaps they hire 100 employees per year, whether it's one location or multiple locations. And for a franchise restaurant like that, typically you see about 30 to 40% of their employees qualifying, the new hires that is. They typically have high turnover. So in that example, let's say 40 out of 100 new hires qualify. And then for a franchise restaurant, although the maximum credit is $2,400, you typically see roughly about $2,000. And so then 40 new employees multiplied by 2,000, it'll be an $80,000 income tax credit for that year where they hired about 100 employees.
Wow, that's fantastic. So is there any companies, you just mentioned a bunch of companies that would be good candidates. What type of companies would not work for this type of credit? A single mom and pop type cleaners, a stay-at-home mom doing a business such as a Mary Kay or something of that nature?
Good question.
What does not apply?
Since it's an income tax credit, you would want businesses that pay income taxes. So nonprofit organizations typically will not qualify for this credit. We're looking for businesses that are hiring employees, so people who are paid on the W-2 form. So, for example, maybe a real estate brokerage firm where most of its workers are independent contractors, real estate agents. They may not be a good candidate because they have very few employees, official W-2 employees. But you have businesses, if they're hiring a lot of, again, W-2 employees, particularly the ones where they're more on the lower end of the pay scale, so more on the minimum wage side and so forth. Because the way the program works is the government is trying to reward employers who are hiring these employees, and the ones that qualify could be the ones who were on food stamps or some kind of government assistance prior to being hired. And so then what happens? The employer will pay payroll taxes more to the government, and therefore the government benefits. The employees will pay income taxes and other payroll taxes, again, more money to the government. And if they earn enough money, they will be off of government assistance. Again, more money saved by the government, and the government is simply providing some of that money that they saved back to the employer.
Very nice. So somebody who's a coach or a consultant who doesn't get a W-2, he's paid by the company he's working for. Let's say he's a business coach and he goes into corporations and he helps them with leadership and sales training and motivation and whatnot, and they are paid not a base salary, just a independent contractor. They're not a good candidate.
No, because those workers would not be qualified employees. And keep in mind, this is an income tax credit that goes to the employer. So the employees have no benefit. The employer's benefit is the tax credits based upon certain type of employees that they're hiring.
Okay, so somebody who's an independent contractor wouldn't have employees per se. They're just working for themselves, and it's a whole different ballgame. Okay, let's actually. I didn't give you an opportunity to share your information as far as if they want to reach you. We'll do that a couple times throughout the show. But if somebody wants to chat with you and get some information about tax credits, where can they reach you?
Well, please call me at the office, 661-775-5923, or please send me an email at Charles, CHARLES .Lee, LEE at ReliantEZ.com, ReliantEZ.com.
Perfect. And there'll be information on the KHTS website or the hometown station website with links to your information as well once the show is up. So why do you believe that people are so uninformed about the tax code and the opportunities that are presented by the IRS? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the tax codes are very broad and very complex. We have different levels of government, for example, the federal level, the state level, the county level, the city level, and even special district level. And then you have various different types of taxes. You have federal and state income taxes. There are even city taxes, like in the city of New York. There's the sales tax assessed by the state and the county. There's the county property tax. Certain cities like Los Angeles have the city business license tax. And of course, you have the federal and state payroll taxes. And the payroll tax is comprised of many different taxes. So it's very complex, very broad. And it's very difficult for one firm, or even certainly by one individual, one CPA, to be an expert in all. And so consequently, a lot of things are missed. And again, going back to that doctor example, maybe your general physician may not be able to detect certain diseases that you have. And so therefore, you go to specialists. You take x-rays, you get scans, and a variety of procedures to see if you have any health problems. For similar reasons, a lot of CPAs call me and say, hey, I have a new client, or hey, I heard that you specialize in the research tax credit, and then can you take a look at my client's situation, see if there's some research tax credits where we can go back in time up to 3 or 4 years and obtain tax refunds, sometimes into the millions of dollars,
Wow.
or go forward and then reduce the taxes on a go-forward basis.
That's fantastic. So you can go back 3 or 4 years and still take advantage of it if you've missed it already as a business owner.
So, for example, the work opportunity tax credit is a go-forward basis because in order to qualify a potential new or qualified employee, the paperwork or the documentation must be submitted to the WOTC coordinator within 28 days from the hire. So that's difficult to go back. You can only go forward. But on the research tax credit, the way we go back is we'll do the analysis on a retroactive basis. So, for example, 2017, 2016, 15, 14, perhaps even a couple of the earlier years. And then for the years that are open, which in this case probably would be the 2013 and 14 years, we'll file amended returns and then claim the refunds that way. And, of course, very unknown, one of the best instances to claim refunds is through an open examination. So if you're an IRS examination or an examination with the Franchise Tax Board, that's the California arm of the Income Tax Division, who knows, maybe there's some tax credits that you can claim through the open examination to reduce any adjustments or maybe even produce a refund.
Most people hear open examinations and go, oh, heck no. I don't want anything to do with that. I mean, if I were to be asked, an audit or open examination, that just screams yikes. It's just one of those things that is fearful for most. But we've got about a minute left. We're going to come back. But I want to come back with something we spoke about off air, and that is the little secret known of the SUVs, those that are
correct.
Yeah. So if you own an SUV or want to buy an SUV and you're a business owner, you'll want to make sure that you tune back in. You're listening to the Ask Brien Show on KHTS, your hometown station, AM 1220 and FM 98.1. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come join me, Arif Halby, for Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Every Tuesday at noon, we uncover ways to help you manage your money, get out of debt, and prepare for your retirement. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Are you not sure if you can retire yet? Listen to us and learn about tips for savings, retirement strategies, and so much more. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station, KHTS.
Hi, this is Wendy Hassenflug, yoga and wellness entrepreneur. I'm excited to share one of the best-kept secrets in Santa Clarita. Top Out Climbing Gym is one of my favorite places. Rock climbing is exceptional for building upper and lower body strength, and it improves your flexibility. Almost anyone can rock climb, and you don't have to be super fit to climb. You'll build strength and stamina while having fun at the same time. Get over to Top Out Climbing Gym in Center Point and challenge yourself to new heights.
Santa Clarita Water has a long history of safe, reliable water service. SCV Water is dedicated to increasing efficiencies, protecting our vital resources, and improving their customers' experiences. That's you. Meet them at their new home on the web at yourscvwater.com. There you can find the latest news, rebates, and much more. That's yourscvwater.com. They can't wait to serve you.
Step into a hot shower or slip on a warm t-shirt fresh from the dryer, and you can feel the comfort natural gas gives us every day. For over 100 years, Southern California Gas Company has provided safe, reliable natural gas service. It warms our homes, powers cleaner vehicles, and cooks our food at a fraction of the cost of other energy sources with less environmental impact, today and for decades to come. Natural gas, part of the clean energy solution. Learn more at SoCalGas.com. Search solution.
Drugs or alcohol abuse can tear a family apart. In Santa Clarita, just like everywhere else, it's an epidemic. The Way Out Recovery is here to help. Call them now at 296-4444 or visit them on the web at thewayoutrecoveryscv.com. The Way Out offers outpatient treatment for adolescents, adults, and family members. The Way Out is compassionate, caring, professional, and confidential. You and your family don't have to suffer any longer. Call The Way Out Recovery now, 296-4444, or visit thewayoutrecoveryscv.com and make an appointment. Asking for help is the first step.
City of Hope is a world leader in cancer research and treatment. And there's a City of Hope community practice location right here in Santa Clarita, eliminating a major barrier in the fight against cancer. distance to quality care. Santa Clarita benefits from City of Hope's compassionate care and renowned clinical expertise. Find out more at cityofhope.org/Santa Clarita or call 661-799-1999.
Today, Peter is out. Lollygagging. No, he's not. He's working. Just kidding. If you're listening, Peter, just smile. So in studio today, we have Charles Lee, and we've been talking about tax credits and all kinds of exciting things regarding the best way to take advantage of certain tax codes that aren't necessarily very well known out there in the world. We left with a little tease before the commercial about SUVs, and we're going to get to that in a second. But I want to ask you one question first. Something we talked about off air, DPAC, which is domestic production activity. Apparently that's a very missed opportunity. Share that with us.
Correct. Under Section 199 of the Internal Revenue Code section, manufacturers get a permanent exemption of 9% of their net taxable income. So for example, if we have a business that manufacture pens, well then we look at the money that comes in, which is your revenue, we look at your various expenses, which are your deductions, and let's say you net out $1 million. Well, under Section 199, you get an automatic tax deduction of 9% of that $1 million. So
wow,
now
that's
you get a
fantastic.
$90,000 tax deduction. And that's an example of a permanent savings. You don't have to pay that back.
That is fantastic. Why is that not known more? Why isn't that something that's readily discussed?
Part of the reason is that when many years ago DPAD was placed into the law, the benefit was only 3%. And then after a few years, they moved it to 6%. So initially, people thought, well, it's only 3% of my net. I don't really make much of a net, so I'm just going to ignore it. But then at 9%, and of course, if your business has grown and your net income is into the hundreds of $1,000s, that 9% is a significant tax savings.
That's huge. Now, you mentioned manufacturers. Is it only for manufacturers? There's no other industry that can take advantage of that?
It's any manufacturer, assembler, processor, where you're buying something and you're putting it together. Right? It's not for a wholesaler, it's not for a retailer, it's not for a service business, but you're buying some raw materials, you're adding some of your costs, maybe some labor, and then you're making something and then you're selling that.
So why is this only applicable to that type of industry? Why wouldn't it be applicable, that kind of credit be applicable to other?
Because the government passes tax laws to produce a certain outcome. And obviously, we've been losing our manufacturing jobs and businesses to around the world. And so the federal government is trying to give an incentive to bring some of that manufacturing back or create more manufacturing opportunities.
That makes sense. I would imagine somebody listening who has a manufacturing company would be going, what? I need to talk to him. So we spoke a little bit off air. Well, you know what? Let's go back to the SUV. I teased. I'm gonna honor my tease. Tell us about if you are a business owner and you want to entertain the idea of an SUV. Tell us the exciting news about that.
and this is another example again. How
to me, I was so excited by this. It was like, wow, this is just really cool.
The federal government wants to persuade people to buy more SUVs and heavy trucks that have a gross vehicle weight over 6,000 pounds. So again, this is an example of how the government is giving an incentive either to the manufacturer or the business or to the consumers. So under the new law that is effective for 2018, if an individual or a business purchases an SUV or a truck where the gross vehicle weight is over 6,000 pounds, then to the extent that you use the business, or rather, to the extent you use the vehicle for 100% for your business, you can get an up to 100% tax deduction of the purchase price of that vehicle.
I bet that's going to motivate a lot of people to run out and buy SUVs if they're. But it's got to be the 6,000 pounds.
Correct.
It can't be 5,500.
No.
It has to be 6,000.
It has to be gross vehicle weight of 6,000 or more. I'll give you some examples. The Land Rover,
Okay.
the Cadillac SUV, the Tahoe, Chevy Suburban F-150 trucks. All of those vehicles that are over 6,000 gross vehicle weight do qualify. And let me give you a numerical example. And this is my dilemma, actually. So my wife is trying to persuade me to purchase a new SUV that costs approximately $90,000. And if I were to put, let's say, no money down or even a couple of $1,000s down and finance this $90,000 SUV, meaning not get a lease, but purchase it, but finance it either through the dealer or through my own bank, then I have purchased that SUV for $90,000. And of course, the purchase price may be a little bit higher with sales tax and whatever. And let's round it up to $100,000. And let's say I am going to use it strictly for Reliant Tax Consulting, Inc. Why? Because I do a lot of seminars, and I do need an SUV because sometimes I have to carry my screen and my projector and my tables and chairs to various locations, and so I do need an SUV. I do have 3 other cars at home where I use for personal purposes, so I'm going to have Reliant purchase this car for $100,000, where I'm going to put $2,000 down. And because Reliant is an S corp, the net income flows to my individual level, and I pay my tax at the individual level. What that means is that I am going to get a $100,000 tax deduction. And if I'm at the highest tax rate at the federal side of 37%, I am going to save $37,000 on a $100,000 SUV I purchased, yet out of pocket, I've only spent $2,000 as the down for the loan.
That's huge. So when are you buying it? What are you waiting for?
I'm trying not to buy it, but my wife is trying to persuade me. Hopefully before the year end. The car must be purchased before the year end. I do recommend to purchase, if possible, in the third quarter rather than the fourth quarter to, again, in the event that your CPA do not want you to take the maximum tax deduction, at least you get a good chunk of that deduction if you purchase it sooner than later.
So this just came into effect 2018, and it's going to go away? It's only for this year?
No, it's for through, if my memory is correct, 2025.
Okay, so it's going to be for a little bit.
Correct.
That's good. That's really very huge. Now, do you have to have an S corp or an LLC to take advantage of this, or can you be a sole proprietor in business, or does it have to be you have to be incorporated?
Great question. It's any business, whether you're incorporated, whether you're an LLC, partnership, or sole proprietor, self-employed, independent contractor,
Okay.
as long as it's used for business purposes. Now, many times a business owner, like an independent contractor, will only have one car where they may use this SUV partially for business and partially for personal purposes. Then we will prorate the deduction. So in my example, if I used it 70% for business and 30% for personal, then I would be limited to 70% of that $100,000 as my tax deduction.
And that's regardless of how much mileage per se. You just prorate it personal versus business use.
Generally, the proration is based upon the mileage.
The mileage,
So you
okay.
should keep track of a mileage log, and then you should do this comparison of business mileage over the overall mileage. In my example, 70%.
So very important to make sure that you document all that so that if you get audited, you've got it all.
Correct.
Right.
And the mileage log is very simple. You can download an app, or sometimes do what I do. You just fold the paper like this as a trifold, and then you simply indicate date, who you met, where you went, and the round trip from your place of work to their meeting and back, and that's your mileage log. While you're warming up the car in 3 seconds, you can put your mileage.
Or
Simple as that.
keep a little journal in your car so you just have it there every day. And
there you go.
It's all super easy. So we talked about the ability for business owners to hire their kids and the advantages for both the parent and the child.
Sure.
Share a little bit about that to our listeners.
Aside from the tax benefits, it's a great opportunity for your children to see you working, to see where the dinner comes, where where their clothes come from. I think and an opportunity, a special opportunity for the children to bond with the parents. Often when the children see what the parents go through every day to take care of them, they get enlightened, their eyes open.
It's a new respect.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But let's talk about the tax benefits. If your child is 18 years or older, there's no limitation on the child working as a normal, regular employee of the company. If the child is under 18, then you have certain restrictions where you may need to get a permit from the local school. But generally, if the child is your own child, then there's very little restrictions as long as it's a non-hazardous activity. So for example, I operate a tax consulting firm. Probably the worst accident we can get is a paper cut. Other than that,
knock on wood, right?
Yeah. So I can hire my daughter, who is 18, and then she can work in my office. Or I have a younger daughter who is 17, and I can hire her. Or if I had a daughter who is 12, I can hire her. And if I had a daughter maybe who is 11 or 10, although I don't know how much a 10 or 11-year-old can do, but let's say your daughter is in the high school age, 16, 17, and you want them to help you out. You pay them a reasonable wage like you would do with any other employee. And the great thing about the 2018 law is that you can pay your child $12,000 and your child will not pay any income tax.
Nice.
So from your side as the parent and the business owner, you're going to get a tax deduction of $12,000. And of course, the associated payroll taxes that you pay is also tax deductible. And then your child will get paid up to $12,000 for the year. And none of that is tax deductible. Why? Because the standard deduction for 2018 is $12,000. So if your child files a tax return, and because this is earned income, which is not subject to the kiddie tax, the child can file an income tax return, report the $12,000, take the $12,000 standard deduction, the net income would be zero, and therefore the child does not pay an income tax.
So about $1,000 a month, they're
there you go.
scot-free.
Or if you say that they work full-time, maybe more during the summer months. Now, that's great, Charles. Okay, I saved some taxes on my side, and my child didn't pay any income taxes. What do I do with that money? After paying the payroll taxes, maybe there's about $11,000 left. What do I do with that money? Well, one of the best things that you can do, since your child has $12,000 of earned income, and they're below the Roth IRA income limits, you would contribute, or the child would contribute into his or her own Roth IRA and contribute up to $5,500 per year. And the beauty of that is that the Roth IRA will grow. It will grow until they turn age 60, and at age 60 your child can take the money out and none of that income is taxable. And one of the benefits of putting in a qualified retirement plan like a Roth IRA is that once the money goes in, the capital gains, the dividends, the interest, and other investment gains are not taxable by the government until the money is pulled out. But because a Roth IRA is different from a traditional IRA, all the money that's pulled out is never taxed because you never got an income tax deduction at the contribution of that Roth IRA.
So the accumulated compounding interest, which I always call free money, all that growth over those 50 years or so is tax-free when she pulls it out. He pulls it out.
Absolutely.
That is a beautiful thing. It reminds me of an example that when I show teens the importance of starting early in terms of saving early, and I will use two different individuals. One individual starts at age 18, putting in $3,000 a year into a Roth IRA, and then after 8 years stops. So their investment is only $24,000 out of their earned money. At age 60, assuming an average annual return of 10%, which is over the course of long term, what the stock market has done, at 60 years old, that $24,000 grew to $964,000.
Wow.
Just shy of $1 million. which is
Wow.
all pulled out tax-free.
There you go.
It's all huge. The other friend who waits till they're 27 does the exact same thing, puts $3,000 a month or a year, into a Roth IRA. They have to pay $3,000 a year till they're 60. They've put 100, I think if my memory serves me, 110,000, I believe, of their own funds. And at the end of age 60, they have $850,000, which is still wonderful.
Sure.
But they've put in 110,000. The first guy only put 24,000, and that's because that other person started earlier.
Correct.
So the importance of starting as soon as possible and letting that money work for you. If you put it in the stock market, mutual funds, whatever, let it work for you. Let it compound. It's free money. And then
Correct.
again with the Roth, get them set up with your, like you discussed, a situation where they're working for a parent. When they're 8 or 60 years old, they're going to be dancing in the street. I mean,
Correct.
it's huge.
Huge.
And
Absolutely.
a lot of kids, I think, it's hard for them to think about retirement. They think, oh, retirement, I want to buy a car today, or I got to buy a house. And I get that. There is certainly that balance. But at the end of the day, they've only put in $3,000 a year for a few years. It isn't like they're putting everything in, every day, all day. It's just, it's like $8.60 a day, I think it worked out to
Correct.
be. So you skip your Starbucks or your coffee and your McDonald's or whatever, and you've now made yourself a millionaire
Correct.
when you're ready to retire.
And keep in mind that the amount that's contributed to a Roth IRA is limited to your earned income. So if you want to contribute the maximum of $5,500 for someone who's under age 50, then you do need to earn at least $5,500. So if you're a parent and you want to contribute the max, maybe you don't want to pay them the full $12,000. At least pay them $5,500 so they can contribute the maximum.
Okay, that's really very exciting for the parent and the child.
Absolutely.
And they may not necessarily appreciate that per se, but I think that's important. So I'm going to ask you a question when we come back from break, but let's start with this question here. How do CPAs find you? Because you are a complement to CPAs. You don't compete with them.
Correct.
You are a massive asset to them, and they look like the hero because they found you. If somebody's a business owner and you introduce these tax credits, how do they find you?
Well, I do work with over 300 CPAs. I act as sort of like the third arm of a CPA practice, particularly for the smaller CPAs who may be a solo practitioner or someone who has just a handful of staff and no other partners. Often I will do research, or I will review the tax returns of their newest clients, and then I will indicate to them what I think the new client is potentially qualified for in terms of tax credits or other tax planning opportunities. I do speak throughout the year in various seminar events and various networking events, but most of the 300 CPAs that I work with, it's just word of mouth of referral. And which is why one of the reasons why I'm on the show now. And so if you're a local CPA and you want that third arm to help you to do tax research, tax planning, tax credits, get some of that $30 billion to your clients in terms of the tax credits incentives, just call me, 661-775-5923, or email me, charles.lee@reliantez.com.
And you will be made a hero because your clients will love you and just be so happy with the fact that you exist. And you were saying off air that there's very few of you that exist, right? But
Yes.
did you say how many?
There's probably no more than a dozen professionals like myself. And again, we don't compete with CPA firms. We act as a part of their firm, and we provide research and tax credit incentive analysis for their clients. And it's just lots of fun, especially when the clients see how much tax savings that they can have.
Yeah, I love the fact that you are a complement to them.
Correct.
And there's not the competition. They're not afraid that you're going to take their clients. That doesn't
Correct.
exist. That's not the issue.
We work with the CPAs. We do not replace them.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to come back from a break shortly. You're listening to Patti Handy at AskBrien.com and Charles Lee on your hometown station, KHTS 98.1 FM. We'll be right back.
Lots of people can build websites, but there's one Santa Clarita company that specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team is made up of local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites. They'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
Men, are you feeling tired, stressed, or just don't have the energy you used to? Did you know this could be related to decreased testosterone levels? Luckily, there's a safe, effective solution. Weeder Prime helps support healthy testosterone levels with clinically tested key ingredients. Just 2 capsules of Weeder Prime each day can help change your mood, energy, focus, body fat, and lean muscle. Feel the way you felt 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Rediscover your Prime with Weeder Prime. To find a retailer near you, visit WeederPrime.com. That's WEIDER Prime.com.
At City of Hope, we don't believe the future can wait for the future. For over a century, we've been advancing science that saves lives. From 4 of the world's top cancer-fighting drugs to the development of synthetic human insulin. We are maximizing the potential of immunotherapy and making precision medicine a reality. It's not enough to promise future cures for cancer. We must find them sooner. We are the miracle of science with soul. Find out more at cityofhope.org.
Bob, I don't believe you.
You're jaded, Blanche.
Read my lips, Bob. You've had a history of exaggeration.
It's true. They're building Castaic High School.
Castaic High, like in Castaic, California.
That's right, Blanche.
Prove it, Bob.
Go to your computer, type in CastaicHighProject.com, and get free and frequent updates.
What's that web address again?
CastaicHighProject.com.
With fervor, like you really mean it.
CastaicHighProject.com.
The popular Summer Beach Bus is back. The city of Santa Clarita is now offering rides to Santa Monica Beach on Saturdays and Sundays, now through September 2nd. Forget dealing with traffic or money for parking. Ride to the beach with ease on one of the city's comfortable, air-conditioned commuter express buses. And bring your beach chairs, coolers, and surfboards. Fares are only $3 each way for children and adults. $1.50 each way for seniors 60 years or older and persons with disabilities. For more information, visit SantaClaritaTransit.com.
To Ask Brien. We're having a lot of fun here in the studio today, speaking with Charles Lee, CPA extraordinaire, aka tax credit whisperer. I'll call you that. It's so great to have a guest who shares so much information that can be so invaluable to business owners or employees. And that was something that we just spoke of. I'll say this real quick. If you're an employee and you're listening in of a company that some of the industries that Charles spoke of, go to the owner and say, hey, are you taking advantage of tax credits? Because their savings trickle down to potentially gifts indirectly, we'll speak about that in a minute, of savings or earnings and whatnot to the employees.
Correct.
So you may think, I'm not a business owner, this doesn't apply to me. Well, it can indirectly.
Yes.
So definitely have that conversation. So we spoke a little bit about Roth IRAs and that. What other types of opportunities are available that can be similar to that a business owner can take advantage of and the employees can?
Great question. So there are 2 sets of retirement accounts. One is for an individual or individual business owner, and another one is for businesses, be it a C corporation, S corporation, LLC, or partnership. So on the individual side, even though you're not a business owner, you can participate into the traditional IRA and also the Roth IRA. Now the difference is that in a Roth IRA, there's no tax deduction when you contribute like the traditional IRA. But the benefit of the Roth IRA is that the money is not taxable when the money is pulled out when someone retires. Whereas on the traditional side, you do get the instant tax deduction upon the contribution, but when the money is pulled out, then all that income, dollar for dollar, is taxable. Now for business owners, you have all kinds of pension plans that are available to you. Probably the most commonly known is the 401k plan. There's also the simple IRA. And of course, there's the traditional pension plan, which we tax professionals call the defined benefit plan. And of course, going back to what you were speaking of, many business owners will have the 401k plan with a profit sharing plan. And so a lot of the investment advisors and pension planners that I work with, they bring me in, and then I produce tax credits many times on a go-back basis where I generate tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of refunds, actual cash refund checks to the business owner. And the business owner will perhaps do that matching, that profit sharing, or maybe even allow more employees to participate in the traditional pension plan. Or maybe even provide a better Christmas party or a year-end party. But ultimately, if you have an employer who's received the tax savings, I've seen them numerous times where some of that savings is back to the employee in one form or another.
That's fantastic. So the trickling effect will take in. That's what I was saying earlier. If you're an employee and you think it doesn't apply to you, it can apply to you indirectly. So
absolutely,
if the employer is saving tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, they're going to potentially, like you said, 401k match, killer Christmas party, whatever it might be, the employee will benefit.
And maybe even a bonus for you if you help the employer or your boss to save a lot of money.
If you go to your employer, if you go to the company owner and you say, "Hey, I've got this situation with Charles Lee, tax credit," and you drop that information, and they don't take it, and they haven't taken advantage of this, you are going to be the serious hero. I mean, serious hero, no doubt. So we spoke about you doing seminars and meeting other CPAs so that people can get to know you and know that you even exist, and that you mentioned there's half a dozen or a dozen of people like you who do this. If somebody wants to hire you to do a seminar, whether it be in their CPA firm or in any other event, are you available for that? And what do you cover?
Absolutely. I can provide CPE to your firm or your firm members. I don't charge for this, so usually I will do it during lunch, whether it's 1 hour or 2 hours. I will provide the materials and then provide the certificates so that the CPAs can receive their continuing professional education. It's really simple. Just call me. We'll coordinate. We'll set it up at a convenient time, and then we'll provide the CPE on various topics, be it tax credits, tax planning, incentives, what have you. And of course, if you are some kind of professional organization, CPA association, or any association, insurance association, attorney association, and you want me to be one of your speakers, I'd be more than happy to speak for a half hour, an hour, or more on various topics that you feel appropriate.
I think that's a wonderful gift, and the fact that you don't charge is fantastic, and they can get continuing ed, which is even icing on the cake. And the fact that you're bringing in this information that they don't necessarily understand or even know exists, that's really so important. Is there anything else that you want to we've got just a couple of minutes here, literally two, that you'd like to wrap up in a bow with this conversation? Anything else you want to share?
Your CPA, you've hired to do basic tax returns, basic accounting, basic payroll, and whatever you hire your CPA. The CPA is not the jack of all trades. The CPA is limited in what they specialize, and therefore there's specialists like myself where we do specialize in income tax credits, incentives and other solutions, tax planning ideas, capital gains deferral ideas. So please feel free to ask your CPA to give me a call or call me, and I'll talk to your CPA, and hopefully we can save you some money.
That's fantastic. Charles, thank you so much for joining us today. What a great show. You've been listening to the Ask Brien Show on your hometown station, KHTS, AM 1220, 98.1 FM. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.